Missing a few student loan payments does not immediately destroy your finances. But once your loans go into default, the federal government has collection powers that most private creditors only dream of. And unlike most other debts, there's no statute of limitations. This debt can follow you for the rest of your life. In this video, I will walk you through the full timeline from missed payment to wage garnishment, explain exactly what happens at each stage, and show you the options you have to stop or reverse the process before it goes too far. Hi, I'm Pietro Canestrelli. I used to work as an IRS attorney in Washington, D.C., so I've seen firsthand how the IRS operates. If you're dealing with tax issues and need guidance from someone who understands the system, give us a call at 951-319-7674 for a free consultation. Now, let me walk you through exactly what happens when student loans go from missed payments to full collections. The first thing you need to understand is the difference between delinquency and default. Those two terms get used interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. Knowing which category you fall into determines what options are available to you. When you miss a student loan payment, your loan becomes delinquent. Delinquency simply means you are behind in your payments. Your loan is past due, but you have not yet crossed into the danger zone. Default is different. Default happens after a prolonged period of non-payment. For most federal student loans, default occurs after 270 days of missed payments. That is roughly 9 months. The moment your loan crosses from delinquent to default, everything changes. The full balance of your loan becomes due immediately. Collection actions that were not available before suddenly become available, and options that could have helped you during your delinquency disappear. Understanding where you are on this timeline is critical because the earlier you act, the more choices you have. Let me walk you through exactly what happens at each stage of this process. The early stage is delinquency. This is where most people first realize they have a problem. The day you miss your first payment, your loan becomes delinquent. Late fees start adding up right away. Your loan servicer will begin contacting you through phone calls and letters. At this point, they are trying to work with you to get you back on track. After 90 days of missed payments, your delinquency gets reported to all three major credit bureaus. This is when your credit score starts to take a hit. The longer you stay delinquent, the more damage is done to your credit. Here is the important part. While you're still in delinquency, you still have access to helpful programs. You can apply for income-driven repayment plans that adjust your monthly payment based on what you earn. You can request deferment or forbearance if you are experiencing temporary financial hardship. These options can help you avoid default entirely. This is the best time to take action. Many people ignore the calls and letters from their loan servicer because they feel overwhelmed or embarrassed. That is the worst thing you can do. The servicer is trying to reach out because they have options to help you. Once you cross into default, those options go away. If you do not take action during delinquency, here is what happens when your loan crosses into default. For most federal student loans, default occurs after 270 days of non-payment. The moment you hit that threshold, several things happen at once. Your full loan balance becomes due immediately. This is called acceleration. Instead of owing monthly payments, you now owe the entire remaining balance of the loan, including all principal, interest, and fees. Your loan may be transferred from your regular servicer to a collection agency. Dealing with a collection agency is very different from dealing with a loan servicer. Collection agencies are focused on one thing, and that is getting money from you. Collection costs get added to your balance. These costs can be substantial. Your total debt can increase significantly just from the collection fees alone. You lose access to the repayment plans and programs that could have helped you during delinquency. Income-driven repayment plans, deferment, and forbearance are no longer available to you. If you are planning to go back to school, you lose eligibility for additional federal student aid. You cannot get new federal loans or grants until you resolve the default. The default stays on your credit report for 7 years from the date of the default. This affects your ability to get approval for credit cards, car loans, mortgages, and even rental applications. Once you are in default, the government has powerful tools to collect from you. And here's what makes student loan debt different from most any other type of debt. The government does not need to sue you or get a court judgment to start taking your money. The first collection tool is the Treasury Offset Program. Through this program, the federal government can intercept your tax refunds and apply them to your student loan balance. If you are expecting a refund, the money goes straight to your defaulted loans instead of your bank account. The Treasury Offset Program does not stop at tax refunds. The government can also take portions of Social Security retirement benefits, Social Security disability benefits, and other federal payments you might receive. The second major collection tool is administrative wage garnishment. Through this program, the government can order your employer to withhold up to 15% of your disposable pay and send it directly to pay your student loan. Your disposable pay is what remains after required deductions like taxes. The key thing to understand about administrative wage garnishment is that the government does not need a court order to do this. Private creditors have to sue you, win a judgment, and then pursue garnishment. The federal government can skip all of that and go straight to your paycheck. Depending on the state you live in, your professional licenses may also be affected. Some states can suspend or deny professional licenses for people who are in default on their student loans. The government can also choose to sue you for the full balance. If you get a court judgment, they can pursue additional collection methods beyond what is already available to them. And here's the part that makes student debt especially serious. There is no statute of limitation on federal student loan collections. Most debts have a time limit after which they become legally uncollectible. Student loans do not have that protection. This debt can follow you for decades. The good news is that there are always ways to stop this process and get back on track, even after you have crossed into default. The first option is loan rehabilitation. Rehabilitation requires you to make 9 voluntary one-time monthly payments within a 10-month period. The payment amount is typically based on your income, so it should be affordable. Once you successfully complete rehabilitation, the default is removed from your credit report. You regain access to income-driven repayment plans, deferment, forbearance, and federal student aid eligibility. This is the only way to remove the default notation from your credit history. However, you can only rehabilitate a loan once. If you default again after rehabilitation, this option is no longer available. Second option is loan consolidation. You can consolidate your defaulted loans into a new direct consolidation loan. This can be done more quickly than rehabilitation. Once consolidated, you are out of default and can access repayment plans and benefits. The downside is that the record of your previous default stays on your credit report. Consolidation does not erase this history. The third option is paying the loan in full. If you pay off the entire balance, the default ends. But for most people with significant student loan debt, this is not a realistic option. If you believe the loan is not valid, was already paid, or you are a victim of identity theft, you have the right to dispute the debt. Disputing requires you to provide evidence supporting your claim. If you receive notice that wage garnishment is about to begin, you have the right to request a hearing. At this hearing, you can challenge the garnishment or propose an alternative repayment arrangement. There are deadlines for requesting a hearing, so acting quickly matters. The earlier you act in this process, the more options you have. Waiting until the wages are already being garnished limits what you can do. If you are behind on your student loans, now is the time to explore your options. If you are behind on your student loans or already in default and facing garnishment or tax refund offsets, call 951-319-7674 for a free consultation. I will help you understand exactly where you are on the collections timeline and what options you have to stop the process and protect your income. Now, if you are a business owner dealing with financial pressures, one of the biggest decisions you might face is whether to sell your business. If you are considering selling a business in California, how you structure that deal can save or cost you a significant amount in taxes. In the next video, I will break down exactly how to structure a business sale to minimize your tax liability. Watch it next.